Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I had a bunch of people send me a story, and this is one of those headlines that catches your attention. 82-year-old Alabama woman arrested after she failed to pay her trash bill, according to the police. So this is from mynbc15.com or WPMI. An 82-year-old woman in Alabama was arrested this week after failing to pay her delinquent trash bill, according to authorities. The woman was arrested Sunday and released on bond, according to a Tuesday statement from the police chief in the town, and that was posted on the city's Facebook page, and this is going on in a town called Valley, Alabama. Valley, Alabama. The woman was issued a citation back in August by city code enforcement officers. And that town, by the way, is about 80 miles northeast of Montgomery. And the citation was issued for failing to pay for trash services in the months of June, July, and August. So she hadn't paid for her trash in 3 months. Code enforcement officers tried to call her several times and attempted to contact her at her home, according to the statement. When contact could not be made, a door hanger was left at her residence. So apparently they have a piece of cardboard or thick paper that says on it, "We've been trying to reach you. You must contact us about your unpaid water bill," and they hung that on her door handle, okay? So that may or may not be an issue we'll get to in a second. The hanger contained information regarding the reason for the visit and a name and a contact phone number that she could call. The citation advised her that she was to appear in court on September 7th in reference to this case. So it actually had a court date on it. It said you should be in court at this time. I assume it actually said you must be in court at this time, for those who want to get picky. When she failed to appear in court, a warrant for failure to pay trash was issued. Now, one of the people who sent me the story said, "Steve, if they put a door hanger on your door to notify you of a court date and you don't show up, can they arrest you for not showing up?" And there would be an argument to be made on that one, because you'd say, "I never saw the door hanger. I wasn't served." But she wasn't arrested for failure to appear on the notice. She was arrested for failure to pay on her trash. And apparently you're allowed to do that in Valley, Alabama. The woman has a history of failing to pay her trash bill, according to the statement. So they're trying to cover themselves already, saying, look, she's had problems with us before. Her trash services were suspended 3 times in the past 2 years, and there have been more than 22 incidents of suspensions and revocations going back to 2006. So 22 suspensions in 16 years. Now, the police department was mandated to arrest the woman. They said we had to do it. We got a court order. So if we get a court order that says arrest somebody, we arrest them. If you got a problem with that, take it up with the court. So while our officers can use their discretionary judgment on certain matters, the enforcement of an arrest warrant issued by the court and signed by a magistrate is not one of them. And that's the police chief speaking. And by the way, he's doing this so that the police department doesn't look bad. I mean, I hate to speak the obvious, but once in a while I have to. And he says that she was treated respectfully by our officers in the performance of their duties and was released on a bond as prescribed by the violation. Now, the woman could not be immediately reached for comment by NBC News, which would come as a surprise to no one, considering that nobody else could get a hold of her either. Commenters on the city's Facebook page were outraged by the arrest of the elderly citizen. One commenter wrote, "That is a seriously disgusting and hateful thing to do. What a shame officials think that this is okay." I did not see in this story how much the outstanding bill was. But someone sent me a note about another story where it said that the outstanding bill was $77. $77. And if that's true, I am curious about arresting somebody over an unpaid $77 bill. Now, I understand that the city wants to get paid. City has to get paid. The city pays someone to pick up the trash. So if the city pays and they want you to reimburse them, that makes complete sense. I pay to get my trash picked up. I do. But if somebody is 82 years old and you suspect that they're older, you suspect that, and they're 82 years old and they haven't paid their bill, and you also have a hard time getting a hold of them, my first thought would be, are they okay? Maybe we should do a welfare check. Maybe the police should actually go by and knock on her door, get her to answer. If she doesn't answer, walk around the house, knock on the back door, knock on the side door, ask the neighbors, have you seen her? Is she okay? and confirm that she's okay first. And if you can get a face-to-face with her and you can confirm that she's physically okay, you say, okay, well, ma'am, the reason we're here is that we haven't heard from you in a while. We want to make sure you're okay. But there's also this outstanding bill of $77. Did you know that? And the real question is the $77 a problem for her to pay? Now, I'm not saying if she's having a hard time paying it, we should just waive it, because then everyone will want their fees waived. And I understand that. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that if there's a woman who's 82 years old in Valley, Alabama, who goes off the radar for a long period of time, and she owes $77 because she hasn't paid her trash bill, first you make sure she's still alive. Then you talk to her and see if is there a problem, what's going on. And I've heard stories before, and I might go dig this story out if I can find it. A couple of years ago, in Michigan, during a cold snap, they found somebody who was deceased in their house, who had frozen to death. And they had not paid their power bill. Power got shut off. And the power bill was sitting on a table. The checkbook was sitting on a table, and they had money in the account. They could have paid it. They're probably planning on paying it. They may have overlooked it. Don't know. But they've since passed rules saying, well, we've kind of got to look into this before we take harsh steps. Now, obviously, no one's going to die if you shut off trash service to this woman's house. I understand that. But first thing you do, make sure she's okay. Number two, does she know she's got an unpaid trash bill? If she's 82 years old, it may have slipped her mind. And there might not be anyone in her life who can take care of these things for her. And she might want to stay independent. That might not be the best choice on earth for her, but it might be what she's chosen to do. Then you see if there's somebody who can help. Is there anybody who can help? Does she have any relatives? Does she have any friends? Does she have neighbors? Is there a church group that she used to attend church with? There might be somebody out there. And so my point is this, and I'm not blaming the police, by the way, because the police were responding to a court order. The police cannot say to the court, hey, you know that warrant you sent over? We refuse to serve it. We refuse to act on it. Okay, at that point, the legal system falls apart. You can't do that. But you got to look instead at either the magistrate or the code enforcement officers who went to the magistrate. And I'm sure they're going to say, look, we're at our wits' end. We've tried everything. Well, I guess I'm questioning whether they tried everything. Okay? And so my number one concern would be the wellness check. Is she okay? Well, obviously, they discovered she was okay when they dragged her into court and made her post bond. I suspect the bond was probably $77. And they're probably going to say, well, you know what? We'll waive the charges now that we got the $77 from you, and we'll call it even. But I'm still not sure is the best way to handle this. So we don't know enough of these facts. But I mean, I remember the street I grew up on. I lived on the same street beginning in 1966. And I can still tell you from childhood memories, the addresses of most of the houses going both directions on my street, because I delivered the paper there in later years. Not in 1966, I didn't, but in later years. And I can also tell you the names of all the neighbors. I knew the names of all the neighbors, both sides of the street, up and down, and that's before I delivered the papers. So we had the Hebblewhites, the Greens, the McGarrens, the Zlotofs, the Dorseys. That's just one direction. I knew them going the other direction. I knew across the street. And I can tell you that on that street were at least 3 older people who lived alone. 3 of them. And one was a man who lived across the street, down 3 houses, who you never saw. The guy was a ghost. The guy was an apparition. You never saw him. Almost never did you see him. If you thought you saw him and you looked, he was gone. And don't know what the story was. Eventually he passed away. Someone else bought the house, moved in. I got to know them pretty well also. But the point is that there was a guy living there. Did he have relatives? I don't know. Did he know any of his neighbors? No. What was the situation? I have no idea. And I also know one woman who lived across the street over here and one woman who lived down the street, same side over here. Same thing, lived alone. And I can tell you that the woman who lived across the street on the side, my mother befriended her because, crazy coincidence, the woman spoke Finnish and my mother spoke Finnish. And when my mother moved in with my family to that house and we met a bunch of the neighbors, somebody mentioned, they go, oh, there's a woman who lives over there who speaks Finnish. And my mom's eyes light up. So my mom and dad both spoke Finnish. My mom went over and introduced herself in Finnish. Two women just jabbering away in Finnish. And until my mom and our family moved into that neighborhood, that woman had no one she could speak to except her son, who did not live nearby. So her son would show up like once every 6 months to check on her, take care of stuff. Apparently, someone was paying her bills. I don't know if it was her or her son. Don't know. And eventually she passed away. But there are these neighborhoods where there are those situations. And so you have to wonder, who, if anyone, is looking after this woman. And I'm not saying it's the job of the police. I'm not saying it's the job of the courts. I'm not saying it's the job of the trash collection people. But you do wonder, when you put all this work into arresting somebody, did you put as much work in first doing the welfare check and trying to work it out? That's all I'm asking. So it's $77. I feel very sorry for the woman. I don't know if she makes that connection that I can pay the $77, or if I don't pay that bill over there, I can go to jail. And so the one thing we really don't know was whether it was a conscious decision to not pay the bill, in which case, then yeah, you might wind up having to explain it to somebody. But if it wasn't a conscious decision, as in the bill got misplaced, or she's having a hard time handling things like this now, those are questions also. And then, of course, it does come down to, is it possible she can't afford it? Is that possible? Because if that's possible, I'm pretty certain that most places have got organizations that will help people who can't quite cover all of their bills, especially if they're elderly or they have other issues. So it's certainly an attention-grabbing headline, give you that. Mark, Hamza, and John all sent it. Thanks a lot. But from mynbc15.com, which of course is WPMI, 82-year-old Alabama woman arrested after she failed to pay the trash bill, according to police. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Don't just plan. Build the courage to take the journey of your dream life.